it's time for us to start.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I would like to congratulate Tom Barnhart and his team for organizing this fantastic event. I think the discussions earlier today have been fascinating and interesting, and truly hope that we will manage to live up to the high standards also in this panel. I would like to welcome and introduce my panelist, Katalin Csuhaj, Managing Director of Corning, Hungary. But before I give the floor to you, Katalin, Tom asked me to provide our audience a short and biased overview of the situation in Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm coming from the public affairs business, and I had the privilege to serve numerous large US corporations over the last 20 plus years. Therefore, I will offer a special perspective about Hungary, a little bit different than the official version that you can read at the government portals anyways. So in my experience, among many other factors obviously, but one of the key for an investor is stability, legal certainty, and the trust in the quality and predictability of regulatory, tax and other policies and institutions. When it comes to political stability, Hungary is one of the most stable countries in Europe. Fidesz, the government party, has been in government since 2010. The next general elections are due in 2022, and the government party is still leading the polls, actually since autumn 2006. And the opposition is pretty much fragmented, and the chances are that the government might even stay for another term. In terms of economic stability, before COVID, the country has been doing very well, enjoying one of the highest GDP growth in Europe, pretty low unemployment and inflation rates. Even the pandemic seems to leave Hungary among those countries which are suffering relatively less. We have a very competitive tax environment. Flat corporate income tax rate is just 9%, and further reductions on employment taxes are underway. Personal income tax 15%. Given that tax evasion has always been kind of a national sport in Hungary, the general taxation philosophy of this government has been to try to keep income and corporate taxes low, and it's aimed to maximize budgetary income on VAT, which is 27% in Hungary, and other taxes, which is basically trying to catch the money when they are spending it. As far as investors are concerned, within the framework of the EU rules, Hungary intends to provide the maximum benefits for investors. The Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency was established to offer a one-stop shop management consultancy service to ensure tailor-made offers and information packages for companies interested to invest in Hungary. Larger employers and long-term investors, usually our typical clients, can sign strategic cooperation agreements with the government, which is basically kind of also PR goal and also provides fast access to the administration. In Hungary, we have very strong focus on shared service centers, the automotive sector, especially e-mobility, self-driving cars, battery manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and in general, pretty much R&D jobs are high on the agenda, including cooperation with Hungarian universities and research institutes. I would also like to especially address defense as a special sector. Because besides the evergreen topic of energy diversification in the region, Hungary is also trying to reduce its dependence recently on foreign suppliers in defense. Therefore, the government is aiming to attract investments in this sector specifically, both through buying licenses or establishing joint ventures with large multinationals. Typical example, or recent examples, are Rheinmetall from Germany, with the production of Lynx infantry fighting vehicle, handguns with Czech and German companies, Airbus manufacturing site. So typically using defense procurements both for military capability enhancement and political diplomatic gestures. Which leads us to our next point, the US-Hungary relationship. Well, over the years, economic and defense cooperation has traditionally been excellent between the two countries. Some tensions are there but they are mainly in foreign policy, especially Hungary's relationship to Russia, which is due to the huge exposure of 80% of Hungarian households are exposed to Russian gas. Hungary-China relationship, and in general these type of states. Overall, the Orban government has had much closer ties to the Trump administration than to Obama or other ones. Prime Minister Orban has even publicly supported Trump in his campaign, actually both a few years ago against Clinton and also now recently. So it's no wonder that during the presidential campaign debate, Biden was mentioning Prime Minister Orban and actually Hungary next to Poland, Belarus, and North Korea as examples of authoritarian regimes with which Trump had a good relationship with. So therefore, I think it remains to be seen how the US-Hungary relationship would evolve under the new Biden administration. Biden's cabinet will probably put more emphasis on rule of law, media freedom issues, which potentially could cause further tensions. On the other hand, Hungary recently significantly increased its defense spending. There are serious discussions about purchasing the NASAMS system from Raytheon. And in a few years' time, the leasing contract of the Swedish Gripen fighter jet fleet will expire, which is obviously an issue to discuss with the US government. And as we know, all these major deals are essentially G2G businesses. So following this brief overview, let me turn to Katalin. And first, touch on the already mentioned shared service centers. Where do you see the key advantages of Hungary in the regional global competition for USA-CEE sites? So is it Hungary's central geographic location or the relatively large number of educated workforce speaking few languages at all? Is Hungary an SSC powerhouse in Europe?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And before I start, just let me quickly introduce myself for the ones who are following this streaming. So I'm Katalin Csuhaj, the Managing Director of Corning Hungary. Corning is a big multinational company, more than a 10 billion US dollar yearly sales with approximately 50,000 employees. And Corning started the shared services journey, its journey around 2001, where actually the first center they established was in US, so in the town where the headquarters is. And then in the next phase in 2005, when they said that okay, this model on the centralized financial processing is working, then they opened a center in Shanghai, and then also in 2006 in Hungary, Corning Hungary was established with core financial processes, so finance administration, accounting. And at that time, Corning was really looking around the Central European region, because we do have production sites in Poland and in Germany, also in the UK. We had one close instance, so quite a wide production landscape, but still they decided to start a greenfield investment in Hungary. And what you said, Tamás, is really the talent what they find, and the infrastructure here in Hungary at that time was really favorable. And I think since then we are still earning the trust to get more and more investments, because as you said, the talents are really good here. Even not just the very specialized economics, but also if you simply look at the commercial or touristical background, and as you said, speaking a lot of languages. The people here, and that's a main advantage if we try to service a very global scope. And what we can see as an evolution here from a geographical perspective, that we started really to provide a nearshore service. So really Central European region and the countries we had production sites for. But since 2013, we are providing global services, covering also the US region or even Asia. So as you said, that working in the morning with the Asian colleagues and then in the afternoon with the US is a very special and really good opportunity for us to provide a good service coverage for customers.
Right. This year has been a pretty difficult one.
Yeah.
COVID has posed plenty of challenges, but also for certain industries, it's definitely provided huge opportunities as well.
Yeah.
So how was Corning affected? Did you have to delay any investments? What's your view on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So Corning is a leading manufacturer company in specialty glass and ceramics, and we are really proud that a very significant part of the earnings is invested for product development. And that's something that the corporation wanted to maintain, but at the same time, of course, we needed to make sure that we optimize and even possibly reduce the operational cost. And it's always a challenge, but at the same time, an opportunity for the supporting functions like HR, finance, and procurement, GSM, because we are certainly, cost cost location, so not producing revenues. So we really pushed hard to operate in a very effective and cost efficient way. So yes, we needed to. So Corning needed to cut back some capacity in line with the changing demands, like in the automotive industry, because we are producing also catalytic converters and glass particulate filters as well for major OEMs in Germany mainly. So yes, we had some reduction, but if you think about it as a global reduction, that for Hungary and our Hungarian hub, it was an opportunity because if we reduced staff in the US and we moved work to Hungary, then actually from a labor arbitrage perspective, there was a gain for Corning ultimately. So actually in the very challenging times of where we had the lockdowns and everyone needed to reduce the number of employees, we hired some people in Hungary because we moved some work from the US to Budapest. And so we could really test, how to hire via these virtual channels. It was a really interesting exercise. But at the same time, the company and the organization was also really flexible, that everyone could quickly move home and we could maintain the quality and the efficiency of the processes and services. So I think yes, it's a challenging time, but as every change what we see in the world, we need to look at it as an opportunity to learn and grow, and that's what we are doing at the moment. And clearly, the success of the finance function. So what we started here in Budapest is. Creating thoughts for other functions like GSM or IT or even HR, what transaction processing may be moved to Hungary and centralized. We are not a GBS yet, so we are mainly supporting the finance and financial processes, but we are really proud that we are also providing very value-add services. And again, just reflecting back to your statement, it's also thanks to the talents what we can hire here in a very cost effective rate.
Right. Okay. I also spoke about stability in Hungary, and I'd like to hear your view about this. How stable do you think is the regulatory environment, for example? What is your experience with working with the government? If there was any issue, any dialogue between you and the government? Is there an open channel for new ideas, feedback, or they are not really listening?
Yeah. So for us, we haven't experienced, any challenges due to instability. So I think there is really a good trust in Hungary and the Hungarian stability from the US investor side. The challenges what we had was mainly around some labor law related, like the changes, like I mentioned, the cafeteria rules changing in the last time, and how we can apply that. So those smaller things, but I think that we could really adjust ourselves very quickly to that. So I wouldn't really highlight those as issues here. From an operational perspective, we are also an in-house bank, so we have very high-level processes managed from Hungary. Basically, the regional liquidity management and also the global liquidity management is supported from Hungary. And we are really proud for this service, because this was a service what was provided by a bank in the past for Corning, and actually we insourced back this service. So we are doing this service now with our own staff, so with a captive model, this treasury liquidity management. And we also see there that the environment is stable to also run such quite high complex processes from Hungary. So so far we hadn't had any issue with the stability. Well, related to the FX rate, and the foreign, that could be sometimes a challenge, but sometimes, of course, an opportunity, because the weak forint means that we are relatively cheaper as well. So, everything has, two sides.
Right. Yeah. Perhaps any last comments that you would like to raise before we wrap up?
No, so I think what I would like to highlight really from a US perspective, that and how we are thinking about the shared services model for a US, a global multinational company, a US-owned multinational company, what we can do from Hungary. And our thinking is now that we are moving away from this really nearshore only providing the service for the region model to really a global operating model, which means that we try to build a hub here in Budapest for these transactional processes, or even supporting the digital transformation. So we have really good talents here as well for the biggest challenges, like how we will pass the digital transformation, how we will implement, systems like S4HANA, which is I think a common theme around a lot of companies. And we do have some good talents in the Hungarian market, not to mention like data analytics, working with big data, how we could provide value a customer base from Budapest. So the theory is that, or the model we would like to build, that we have these hubs. We have also the regional centers, which are really close to the customers, where we need that very high touch profile. So really close to, maybe from a language perspective for the Asian region. Although I want to mention that we do have Chinese speakers employees as well. Serving the Shanghai market, so the Shanghai region from Budapest. So that's working also really well. But really having those customer focused, customer facing processes very near to the stakeholders, having the regional hub in Budapest, and as the company is maybe stepping into new markets, very niche markets, right? Then maybe having some satellite offices there and support the services like in Latin America from there, with some staff who is actually at the location but reporting into our organization. So I think what we earned over the years is really that extensive experience how to run, these global processes from Budapest for a multinational company, and we learned that how to govern those processes, and we can actually support these offices, these satellite offices, to follow the global procedures, and we from Budapest providing that governance role as well. So I think the future is really bright and exciting for Budapest from a shared services perspective. There are really great initiations like the HIPAA AmCham collaboration, the business services sector engagement. We as Corning also part of that, and we would like to make sure that we are visible for the good talents, and that a lot of young people also look to the business service sector as opportunity for building a good career. And I'm a true believer that's something that Hungary can provide. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for all your valuable insights, Katalin. Yeah. Hope this is also helpful for our viewers and listeners. I would like to close this session with this, and I would like to wish everyone all the best and stay well.
Thank you all. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Tamás. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.